Hello, everybody. Welcome to the news. This is something that I was going to do brand new, and I want to do something different to what I'm actually going to be reporting on now. But big breaking news, really, of the last hour or two, is that the WWE, 1 year on from releasing 20 superstars, have again released another batch of superstars. Some really big names that are in there. Well, sort of big names. Samoa Joe is obviously the biggest one that's gone. But also been released has been the IIconics, Mickie James, Kalisto, he's gone as well. And then later on, there's been some more people who have gone. So their original statement was that WWE have come to terms on the release of Billie Kay, Mickie James, Chelsea Green, Tucker, and Wesley Blake. They get the usual stories, we wish them all in the best in their future endeavours. And yet, there's probably going to be more coming out later on today, and it won't be at all surprised if they did. So the biggest one is Samoa Joe. He was colour commentator back in November 2019, I think it was, and he returned to action in December. He had feuds with Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, but then once again, I think he suffered another injury, which I believe was a concussion that he had on a promotional shoot. And then in late April of 2020, became a colour commentator for then on. He was obviously at WrestleMania as well, and really this has kind of come out of the blue. Really, didn't really expect him to leave, because he was quite good on commentary. In all honesty, there wasn't really any need for him to be fired, unless of course WWE wouldn't clear him for whatever reason, and therefore he's going to go somewhere else. And he's a big star, at the end of the day, he'll turn up at AEW or somewhere like that. I don't think he's done at all. So you'll see him around, or even Impact, because that's where he was before. So Impact Wrestling is probably more suitable for him. So the other one to be released was Billie Kay. She was part of the IIconics, and there was a separate breaking news on WWE.com, which had Peyton Royce had been cut as well, and she was getting over. She was getting over. She moved over to SmackDown due to the brand split, the WWE draft, and just started to form a random tag team with Carmella. They had the WrestleMania match, and now they've been released. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if Peyton Royce kind of followed suit with Billie Kay, or one of them was going to be leaving, so they said, well, I'm not going to stay here with the other one, and then they just left. That's all speculation. Or they just signed up both at the same time, which actually, come to think of it, I think they did. Straight from NXT, so it could be that a contractual issue. And speaking of Peyton Royce, she had a non-title match with Asuka back in March 22nd, I think it was. And she lost, but she actually put in a very good showing, and that was it. That was the last time that we ever saw her on TV. So Mickie James is the other one that's gone. She's a bit of a legend in WWE. Not really surprised at this, in all honesty. I think she probably must have signed some sort of legend contract, and she'll come back. She'll be on, the Legends Night they have next year. This isn't done for her, so probably in terms of having a long run, yes, I think she's not going to be in WWE for that at all, but she'll pop up from time to time again. But she also put a tweet out as well, not long after the announcement, saying that she was grateful for the memories, grateful for the locker room, the fans, the little keys to my golden handcuffs, she called them. You can never expect others' vision of you to be big as your own dreams, and she thanks Vince McMahon. She's obviously left on good terms. The other person to leave is Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green, famously, if you want to call it that, suffered a broken wrist during that fatal 4-way on SmackDown back in November. It was a 4-way match between Liv Morgan, Natalya and Tamina. But then during her recovery, she did sign a new 3-year deal with the company, and now she's gone. So I don't know what's happened there. The other person I mentioned was Tucker. Tucker obviously was one half of Heavy Machinery with Otis. Again, they split them up. Tucker turned on Otis, the Money in Bank briefcase, and then they kind of went their own ways. I think there was like a trade between them, and it was kind of weird because you would have thought they would have made a bit more of the storyline involved with that. It seemed like it was kind of a last minute kind of thing to do. But yeah, so he was not been on TV for quite some time. Apart from obviously appearing at the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on SmackDown on Friday. Last Friday, rather. And he's actually kind of happy about it. He put a tweet out saying, "Freedom, baby." So he's obviously quite happy that he's leaving. And fair enough, you know, I think he should have done, I think WWE should have done more for him. I think in terms of being let down by WWE, Tucker is definitely one of those people that they've kind of did something with. They looked like they were going in a direction with him, and then they just thought, nah, we ain't doing that for whatever reason. Maybe it was because Otis was a bigger star, and maybe they decided to push him and leave Tucker behind. I don't know, but we'll see where he goes. Then you had Kalisto, a former United States Cruiserweight and NXT Tag Team Champion as well. He was part of the Lucha House Party, that kind of group that was always getting beaten every single week. But he was split from them in the 2020 draft. He wrestled a few times, I think, in the as a singles competitor on SmackDown, and was also in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal as well. The other one is Wesley Blake. He was part of the Forgotten Sons back in NXT. They brought them up to the main roster, and then they kind of split. They were taken off television. Wesley Blake and Steve Cutler wouldn't appear on WWE again for some time. And then they were hired as King Corbin's Knights of the Lone Wolf, which lasted, I think, for only about like a couple of weeks, maybe even a month or so. And then that was it. Blake was off TV again, and now has been released. Bo Dallas is another person that's gone. He was a former NXT champion. He hadn't actually wrestled in the ring since, I think, November 2019. His brother is obviously Bray Wyatt, who's doing a really good thing, depends on where you stand with that in terms of the Fiend. And yeah, he's gone. Probably not that much of a surprise. He was one half of the B team, of course, which got over a little bit, but not a great deal. But again, someone who hasn't wrestled in a while, it makes sense for him to leave, and he'll be fine wherever he goes. Probably Impact. So yeah, it's gonna be quite interesting to see where they all end up. Where do you think they're gonna end up? Put down in the comments section below. If you could like, share, and subscribe, that'd be awesome. I think majority of them will probably be. I think that all of them will be fine. In all honesty, like I said, Samoa Joe will probably go to Impact. Peyton and Royce will probably go to AEW because her husband's there. Billie Kay might follow. And form a tag team. There we go. Ready-made tag team straight away. First news one I've done on this channel. First one on news I've done overall. So yeah, hopefully there's going to be some more content put on this channel, other than just 2K wrestling games, because it's been that now for about 3 years. So it's time to do something different. And speaking of doing things different as well, fingers crossed, Friday there'll be a podcast based on SmackDown, what I think will happen, a preview of it, with all the fallout from WrestleMania. And yeah, so thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.